Let's talk now to Lowri Morgan, an adventurer who visited the Titanic in 2003 in a similar type of submarine. Lowri, good to see you. Let's pray the crew is alive and well. I'm one of life's cowards. I can't begin to imagine what this journey must be like. You've been there. Can you give us a sense of the claustrophobia, perhaps, in these type of vessels at this kind of depth? I mean, what's it like?
Well, when you think about it, more people have been to space than to the deepest, darkest part of the ocean. And when you're put into this submersible, I went into a 3-man Russian Mir submersible 20 years ago, but you hear the bolts closing on you and the wheel tightening as you settle into your tiny seat, and you try to ignore the thoughts of claustrophobia in the back of your mind when you think the next time you'll see daylight and feel the fresh air on your face is in the next 12 hours. And then when just a few metres below the surface, the light is turned off to save power, leaving you in pitch black darkness with only the eerie or echoing ping of the sonar. And that's when it hit me, certainly, that sense of vulnerability. It becomes acute, and you're reminded of the risks, the chance of fire because of the highly oxygenated atmosphere, or the pressure, which is nearly 380 times greater than atmospheric pressure above at sea level, of course. Even a pinprick crack in the small windows would see us implode straight away, and you just pray that those 7-inch thick glass portholes are strong enough to withhold or that pressure.
At the end of the day, I mean, it's worth saying, of course, that the Titanic, the wreck of the Titanic, is a mass grave. I mean, what's the attraction, the enduring attraction for so many people of the wreck of the Titanic? Why did you want to go?
Well, I went down as part of a documentary. I was presenting for a Welsh programme for S4C Wales Channel 4. I was a deep-sea diver before then. I dived to a few famous ships, so this was a natural progression for me as a presenter. And when I was offered the challenge, of course I accepted. I am an adventurer. I have been on many challenges over the years, and it took me about 10 months of research. And the more I found out, the more I was hooked. You know, I read about the life of the ship, the building of it in Belfast, the history of that booming era. You know, I read stories about the people who travelled on this magnificent ship, and researching the ship became a huge part of my life. And by the time I came to see her, it was like a roller coaster of emotions. On one hand, you were very excited to see this wonderful ship with all its history, but you were reminded constantly that it was actually a graveyard for over 1,500 people, purely by the details that I saw on the floor. You know, I saw children's shoes, children's toys. I saw a pair of leather shoes lying there, and it became obvious it was the resting place of a person. For me, it was there to show respect, and also as part of the research, taking notes and making sure that I could go back to the people on the Keldysh with all the information that I had seen.
Are you aware, are you made aware of the danger when you sign up to dive to the Titanic's wreck?
Yes, as I said before, the dangers of that remote world. By now, hopefully, technology will have improved dramatically. But at that time, it wouldn't have diminished any of my fears, I have to admit. But that those risks and dangers were spelt out to us in the starkest terms before we went down. We spent about a week on the Keldysh talking about what we were going to see, and also of the dangers. We were told in an emergency, and of course this was 20 years ago, that the Mir would have to drop its heavy battery and then hope to float back to the surface. And I'd like to think that modern technology should make the current situation less dire. And like I said, it is claustrophobic in that submersible. It'll be very cold for them. It was very, very dark. I can imagine they haven't taken a lot of food and drink with them, presuming that it would be a maximum of 12-hour journey. And I'm so hoping that this will be a safe return for them and the rescue will be successful. And I'm thinking of those families at the moment.
Lowri, good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for coming on the programme. Lowri Morgan in Cardiff.